Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. You're here on the home of the slightly above average ship review, and I have a match in the new premium battleship, a Commonwealth Tier 6 premium called the Yukon. We're on northern waters. It is a domination match. We are top tier. And yeah, let's talk about the Yukon. So there's no ship history. The Yukon was an alternate design, 15A 35, maybe, or 15B 35, or 15C 35, was an alternate design for the King George V. Now, based on the notes I saw, all of those designs had smaller caliber secondary batteries. They had 114 millimeter secondary batteries. Here in the game, I believe these are 133 millimeter secondary batteries. So I think Wargaming took a little bit of artistic license with some of the armament. As far as I can understand, the 15s were considered. The United States told Britain, oh, put 16s on there. But Britain ended up putting 14 on there because of the armor scheme or something like that. So again, I don't know what changes to the Yukon were made from the King George V by Wargaming. But in this instance, I feel that wiki.wargaming.net has a lot more interesting notes about it than anything we can find in Legends. All right, as you can see down on the screen here, I've tried to maximize to the best of my ability the amount of smokes I get with this battleship. Unfortunately for me, I've found that much like in our Nottingham video, as soon as I put up a smoke screen, everybody stops spotting. Here you're going to see two destroyers humping each other in one smoke screen. So they're not spotting, and they won't. They won't spot. And eventually you will see that they are kind of worthless, which isn't really anything new. All right, back to the wiki. These are the pros. Now keep in mind it's a tier up on PC. It says gun caliber is enough for AP shells to overmatch 26 millimeter plating, 381 millimeter guns. AP shells have short fuse timers, which reduce chance of overpen. Decent AA suite, though short ranged. I don't think it's that great. Excellent concealment for a battleship. We'll see that in the port. I don't think that's that great either. Incredibly quick rudder shift for a battleship, and it has a super heal. They call it a specialized repair team on PC. Here are the cons. Second worst main battery firing range in our tier. Slow main battery traverse speed or poor main battery traverse speed and firing arcs. Slower than average main battery reload speed. I don't know if that's true or not. Lacks improved HE penetration compared to the Monarch. Poor armor protection. Most of the ship is covered with 26 millimeter common plating. Large and exposed citadel block, which rises well above the waterline. I don't think that's true either here on console. Incredibly vulnerable to HE penetrations and AP overmatch. So we'll look at it in the port, and you can make your own determination how much of that stuff is true. There you can see the two blue destroyers got done making out in the smoke screen, and they're going to be dead shortly, which means myself and the other battleship back here, which is a California, are going to have to take over. Now, ironically enough, the Yukon territory is probably one of the only places that's bigger than the state of California in terms of like a defined boundary that I can think of. No, I mean, we're not talking about a whole country. We're talking about a subdivision of a country. I just said that and didn't bother doing any research, so if it's not true, don't sue me. But Yukon and California are going to team up here because that's the only way we can win nowadays in this game, is by teaming up to lead the blue team to victory. All right, so there are a bunch of destroyers in the cap. Basically, for some portions of this, I'm going to set up the California, and he's going to take them out. But we are going to act as a destroyer, which I find kind of funny. Huga gets absolutely wiped by the Gnevny after death, so I'm very happy the Gnevny got those torps out. So now there should be 2 destroyers left in the Charlie Cap. And we're spotted by one of them. I think he's near that island. He is near the island. It is an Icarus. So we are turning to get our turrets on target. And pretty much here's where we're going to start setting them up for the California. All right, the Icarus went into a smokescreen. All right, here is the Z-35. We're going to shoot at the Z-35 and do some damage. And then the California is going to smash the Z-35 and take him out. Hand job medal number 2. All right, so now the Icarus, if the Icarus was smart, he would be retreating because I think he shot all his torpedoes. But he's not smart. He's hiding in his smoke screen thinking, these battleships will never come get me. Oh, yes, they will, sir, because I don't give a fuck when I'm playing in a premium ship, or any other ship for that matter. I routinely go right at smoke screens. So, yeah, he didn't run away until a little too late, and we light him up there with the HE, and any minute now. Oh, there's another destroyer around here. Okay, then. Check out the rudder shift. Is it really great? I think it is. Meanwhile, the California really damaged the Icarus, and we get a close quarters expert medal with our secondaries. You know, the secondaries of the Yukon look good on paper. They just don't have enough range, so I did not do a secondary build with the ship. I have like a quasi, what they're calling on Reddit, ninja build, which we'll go over in the port. So this is designed to, it's not anything like our Nottingham video, but a battleship with 4 smoke screens. If you can get spotting, you can have a good time. And you've got pretty nice high caliber guns, so, or higher than your compatriots. All right, here is the Fubuki. So we are going to light the Fubuki up. And again, a really nice hit. And the California finishes him off for our 3rd hand job medal. By the way, we just got our first solo base cap. All right, so we're headed to the Bravo cap. All of the other red team ships appear to be in Alpha, because I think the one destroyer that was in Bravo was the Fubuki, and he came over here and got killed. So there are 4 ships left, 2 destroyers, 2 battleships, and they are all over on A. So we are going to traverse out of our smoke screen into Bravo, basically uncontested, along with the California. Now, the California doesn't know my plans. He doesn't know that I was trying to showcase the smoke screen stuff and stuff like that. But I found that we worked really well together in that first part of the map. So I'm hoping we continue to work well together for the rest of the game, because we're down caps, we're down points, we're down ships. And I know that towards the end of this game, there are going to be people who might accuse me of not playing to win. And I'm just going to tell you now, I always play to win. So we're just going to do it in a way that some people might not like. Using what George W. Bush once called strategery. That's right, we're going to use some strategery when we take this game over. All right, so there's the Mahan. They are chasing down the other battleship. Everybody's pretty much leaving me alone, which I am totally okay with. Although I am going to take pot shots at the Mahan. All right, we're into the Bravo cap. We're starting to flip that. Check out this shot, baby. Check out this shot. Yep, we got the kill on that destroyer. I bet he thought he was totally safe coming out of the gap like that. Oh no, sir, you got told. All right, there's a Duke of York out there. I think the other battleship is maybe a Colorado. And so now it's 2-on-2. The destroyer got taken out, and so it's myself and the California against the Duke of York and the Colorado. So we get our second, by the way, solo base cap. Right now we are down by a significant number of points. It's 591 to 336. So not only do we have to beat up the enemy team, but we also have to prevent ourselves from losing by points. Now here you're going to see the armor profile of the Yukon is not that great. I don't think it's as bad as they described on PC, but it's not great. So I put up my smoke screen hoping the California was going to maneuver by me, and that didn't happen. Maybe he can't get clear of my smoke screen, or could for a little bit. I wish that was armor piercing, but it is not armor piercing. But we are going to set the Colorado on fire a couple of times. There's the Confederate medal. So I think the Duke of York is right over there. The Colorado is behind the island. So maybe in about 20 seconds here, we're going to come out of our own smoke screen because they're not being spotted. So essentially, right about now is when I'm realizing my smoke screen strategy isn't going to work. By the way, with this build, concealability in the smoke screen is 8.5 kilometers. You can think that's good, bad, indifferent. I don't know. I thought it was useful in a couple of games I played, but that being said, you're not invisible. You know, it's not a destroyer. So we're going to mosey on out of the smoke screen, and I'm expecting the Duke of York is going to be somewhere on the capture icon, maybe to the left of it a little bit. They can see me, I can't see them. There is the Duke of York, and we're going to shoot at him. Not really great aiming. And I just remembered, hey, this thing has big guns, relatively speaking. And so that was some pretty good damage on just 2 or 3 penetrations. So I'm like, hey, teammate, I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Hey, teammate, let's shoot at this guy. And he does. He's been shooting HE the whole match. I am saving my reload for the Colorado. Now, this is a little disappointing. I probably should have gone above the armor belt. We just don't get what I want there. We took a huge hit, so I got to use my last super heal. I don't think I realized they were super heals when I used the first one, so I may have wasted that first one. But we've got to heal up, and I'm going to try to get some shots out on Colorado. But again, I'm taking more damage from the Duke of York, so yeah, I don't think the armor profile is great. I just don't think it's as bad as PC. Now, here we did some landscaping on the island, but we are in the Alpha Cap. And not only are we in the Alpha Cap, which prevents it from counting for the red team, but we're getting Bravo and Charlie to count for us, and they really can't do anything about that. And here in a minute, one of the red team battleships is going to do something incredibly stupid. They're going to leave the cap. If he had stayed in the cap circle, in all likelihood, the California and I would have had to try to go and actually kill those other 2 ships to get the win. As you can see, there's under 2 minutes left. We are down by about 80 points. And needless to say, he's out of the cap, so I am capturing Alpha right now. And this is just an incredibly short-sighted move by the red team. Colorado just shouldn't have left the cap. He should have just gone forward or backed up or whatever it is and stayed with the island in between himself and the California. And I would have had to go dig him out of there. But instead, the Duke of York came forward, and the Colorado transversed the cap and is running away. And this is just, they allowed us to capture Alpha, and they allowed us to win on points. Under a minute left, we get the solo base cap, our 3rd solo base cap of the match. And I want to say we're about to take the points lead right now. So there's really nothing that they can do except kill one of us. And so he's shooting at the California. I'm going to shoot at him and throw up my smoke screen. Really nice hit there. Disabled one of his turrets. Again, I'm visible because I'm not far enough away. But the California is still piling on. And we are going to maybe get shots out. He's going to disappear right there. That's the one thing I really wish the California had understood what I was trying to do with the smoke screens. But anyway, our shots miss. But more importantly, the California is going to burn down the Duke of York right there. So that is the end of the match. All right, here we are on my favorite screen, the victory screen. Dreadnought medal, Confederate medal, close quarters expert medal, 78,436 total damage, 3 hand drop medals, 2 kills, 2 cap defended flags, and 3, count them, 3 solo base caps. Don't think you can advance in a battleship and capture the bases. 513,258 silver, 5,800 ship XP, 6,300 commander XP in the Yukon. And team result, there we are at the top of the board. 3 medals, 2 big kills, 2896 base XP, and a GG to my compatriot in the California. His name is like Death something. I can't even read it. That's how bad my eyesight is. Anyway, he played a really good game, helped me out there. So, yeah, all in all, it's productive. All right, after a brief message from Wargaming, let's go into the port, take a look at the upgrades. We went with Aiming System Mod 1. Damage Control System Mod 2. And Target Acquisition System Mod 1. And I did that so in the case of the smoke screen, I'm not totally helpless. All right, you got HE and AP there, unlimited damage control party, 3 charges of a super heal, 4 charges of a smoke generator, and 4 charges of an observation seaplane. You could swap that out for a fighter plane or a secondary charge. The secondaries to me don't have enough range. The fighter plane is worthless, so that's why I went with the seaplane. Your mileage may vary as far as that goes. All right, the only booster flag we were using was the Epic Battle Booster for main battery range and reduced cooldown time. We got the Type 9 permanent camouflage and the Yukon flag with a Yukon Husky on it. All right, 60,500 hit points with our build, 22% torpedo damage reduction, and a greatly reduced fire resistance from 30 down to 21% with our build. Taking a look at the main battery, 3x3 381 millimeter turrets, 18.3 kilometer firing range with our build, 29.5 second reload, 34.6 second turn time, a shell grouping value of 1.99. The max dispersion is slightly worse. The median dispersion is slightly better. All right, HE shells do 5,300 max damage with a 34% fire chance, and they pen 64 millimeters of armor. AP shells do 12,852 max damage with our build. They pen 732 millimeters at point blank range and 394 millimeters at max range, which is a pretty big chunk off. And the fuse arming threshold is 64 millimeters. All right, on to the secondaries. 3x2 134 millimeter guns. All right, I'm going to bite my tongue. I said the Yukon had different armament, and I was wrong. However, the armament that I described was 133 millimeters in the design, not 134 millimeters. So I will claim a Pyrrhic victory. All right, HE shells 1900 max damage with an 8% fire chance. AA defense, your secondaries are dual purpose and they do count as AA. They're your longest reaching AA out to 4.5 kilometers. Your best AA is the 40 millimeter 39 QF Mark 8 guns, which do 142 damage per second. Maneuverability 26.9 knots, 790 meter turning circle, 9.7 second rudder shift time. So that rudder shift stuff accurate. Concealment 13.8 on the surface, 11.6 from the air, 8.5 when firing from smoke. So this is just the way I built the ship. I mean, you can build it any way you want, obviously. All right, we played 4 matches. We've won 3 of them. We're averaging 1 kill and 47k damage per match. The match you just saw was our best match so far in the Yukon. To be fair, I've been down here every other match. So I think it's got a lot of potential to be a quasi-unique ship. All right, let's look at the dirty truth about the armor. All right, so the stupid port design. This isn't the Citadel that's described in the PC version. This is slightly above the waterline, maybe a little bit there. So that's not as bad as PC leads you to believe. 26 millimeter bow, again, that's not a shocker based on what we read. A small bit of armor belt there on the bow plating. Turrets and barbettes. The rear of the turrets have tremendous armor. The rest of the turret and barbette armor is abysmal. And the casemate does have another armor belt there that goes up to 381 millimeters. And then we're going to put on the torpedo side plating and see another armor belt that goes up to 260 millimeters. So I think it is pretty good armor on the side. But that being said, again, we got punished in that match. So plunging, angled fire, whatever, I mean, it's going to damage your ship like you saw here in the battle. All right, here's the commander, Charles Kingsmill, who I haven't read anything about. His base trait, Father of the Navy, a slight increase in hit points recovered, and maybe like a compounding effect, total hit points restored by repair party, a slight increase there as well. For our inspirations, we went with Harold B. Farncombe for detectability after firing the main battery inside a smokescreen, and John Arbuthnot Fisher for main battery reload and main battery range. Row number 1, we went with Flammable Cannoneer, which explains the big hit to our fire resistance. Number 2, Gyrating Drill Bits. Row 3, Unique Skill Dominion. Minus 10% main battery reload inside a smokescreen. So as you can see, that really interfaces with Farncombe's base trait really well, which is why I did that. And then we chose the unique skill Foghorn in row 4, increases main battery range inside a smokescreen and gives you a couple extra smoke charges. Our legendary skill, we went with Testudo. Would really wish they would give you another different one maybe here at some point, but whatever. I could use Fully Packed for more smoke screens if you wanted. Anyway, that's the review. Hope you liked it. Don't forget to hit that like button.